Hello and welcome back to another Classic WoW video. So based on requests by you guys, I have decided to make another gold farming video with more focus on higher levels and more gold per hour. This video is supposed to help you get ideas of which items to farm, where you can farm them, and why they're so good and worth so much gold. We'll be taking into consideration both vendor value and auction value, and some farms may have more vendor value than auction value, and vice versa, but I'm trying to include farms that both yield a steady gold per hour either through looting pure cash or vendoring stuff, but also have some big ticket items worth auctioning. Before we get further into this video, I'd like to say that this is the part 2 of my Great Goldsfarms in Classic WoW video series, and if you haven't watched part 1 yet, I'll leave a pop-up link to that one in the right corner right about now, so you can give that one a watch. I'd also like to remind you guys that I have a Discord channel that I use to communicate with you guys about pretty much anything, and it's probably the best way to reach me if you have any questions you'd like to have answered fast. I do also share gold farms on Discord long before I upload videos about them, so if you want to take advantage of some gold farms before they go public on YouTube, join my Discord. This gold farming video is also aimed at those of higher levels, so for the sake of keeping it clean, let's say level 50 plus, even though they can technically be done at lower levels, I would recommend level 50 plus. So let's get into the gold farms. Number 1 is the trolls at the Altar of Seul in the hinterlands. These trolls don't really have the best loot table, but they do drop Wildvine, which is used in many different crafts, but most notably the green lens, which is a best in slot headpiece for many or at least a few different classes. For example, frost mages need it and healers need it. It's their absolute best in slot. And the reason why Wildvine is needed to a huge degree is because of the RNG of the green lens craft, because you can proc with different stats, and only certain stats like frost power for frost mages or healing power for healers are the actual best in slot versions. So an engineer can be very unlucky and have to make a ton of green lens before he procs one of useful stats, and each craft requires 2 Wildvines. As a side note, once you get the stat needed, you also need a little extra luck, since the healing power can range from plus 52 to plus 55 healing power, so obviously the plus 55 will be more expensive than the plus 52 one. Along with this, the trolls also have a semi-high drop rate of certain recipes, kinda like the satyrs in Ashara, which we covered in part 1. These recipes are only worth vendoring, but they sell for 40 to 60 silver each, so it adds to the value of the farm. Along with this, you also get flasks of mojo, which sell for 2.5 silver each, which isn't much, but it all adds up. After 1 hour of farming myself, I got 4 gold from just looting the mobs, another 5 gold from vendoring trash items and 2 recipes, and 12 wild vines which currently sell for 2 gold each on my server. Altogether that's 33.5 gold per hour, which I think is quite nice indeed. I think this is quite a hidden and niche gold farm as well, so odds are you might get it to yourself. Due to the price of Wildvine right now, this might be one of the best and somewhat secret gold farms out there, and with multiple different gold farming locations in the same zone, odds are you'll find a spot where you can farm all the mobs for yourselves. All the spots you can farm will be shown in this video right now. You'll see you have quite a few options, but notice that the southeastern spot consists of tons of elites, which will be way more difficult to kill. The Altar of Seul also has a couple of elites, but most mobs are common mobs. Number 2, the fire and water elementals of Fellwood. These elementals are very easy to farm and they are quite condensed, meaning there are tons of mobs in a small area space, allowing constant chain pulls as long as your mana and health allows it. You can choose to either farm the water elementals or the fire elementals, or you can combine both farms since they are quite close together. As of right now, farming the fire elementals gives more gold per hour because of the price of the elemental fire and essence of fire, plus the drop rate of those elements and essences. So later in Classic that might change because of essence of water being worth even more, but right now there are just so many more essences of fire, or fire elementals I should say, so farming those are more worth it, but the price of essence of water seems to be higher, and if it is, then farming the water elementals and supplementing that farm with fire elementals might be worth it as well. This all depends on your server economy, so just research your auction house and find out if elemental fire is worth more than elemental water, and if essence of fire is worth more than essence of water, and farm whichever element is worth more. This farm is kinda dependent on RNG, since elemental fire / water and essence of fire / water are your only gold makers, and with really bad RNG you might end up getting none of them or all of them. I have tried this for 5 hours in one day recently, and I managed to get an estimate of 17 gold per hour from this farm, which isn't really the best, but if every other farm is taken, at least you have the option of going here. Number 3 is the air and earth elementals of Silithus. This is a really popular farm, both for earth and air elementals. Mages go here to AoE farm constantly, and you should expect a ton of competition if you go here. This being said, if you can farm this by yourself, which is really rare, but if you wake up at weird hours and /or play on a low population server, it might be possible. You can make a ton of gold per hour. This is basically because Essence of Air and Essence of Earth are worth a ton of gold right now, and is used in a ton of crafts and enchants which are important and in the end game. You can also pick up Core of Earth and Elemental Earth, as well as Elemental Air and Breath of Wind, all of which can be worth a little bit and helps to add value to the farm, but the main items you are looking for are Essence of Air and Essence of Earth. Number 4, Tyr's Hand, Southwest and Eastern Plaguelands. These are elites and might therefore be more difficult for certain classes to kill. They're also both casters and melee, so be careful what type of mob you pull. If you're a mage trying to AoE farm, you might want to single target DPS down the caster first, then round up melee targets afterwards. This is a really good gold farm, offering steady gold per hour by looting pure silver or looting trash items, which vendors for quite a bit. Every kill nets you between 10 to 15 silver just from looting silvers from the mob, plus extra value from the drops as well. Meaning if you kill 1 mob per minute and you loot 10 silver from each, which is almost the lowest you can loot, that's 6 gold per hour just from looting. You can also easily net 10 gold plus per hour in vendor items, so that's 16 gold per hour, with a chance of obtaining big ticket auction items as well. Number 5 is the Plague Hounds and Plague Bats in Western Plaguelands. This farm can be quite handy, especially if you have skinning. It's the perfect mobs to farm for rugged leather, thick leather and rugged hide. It might not be the best farm out there, but in most situations it will not be highly contested either. One small downside is that these mobs are required for a quest, so the most competition you'll have for mobs is people needing them for quests. The grey item drops from the Plague Hounds and Plague Bats also vendor for 8 to 9 silver each, but doesn't drop every time. I would say this farm is just okay and should probably be used as a last resort, and it kinda requires skinning to reach an okay amount of gold per hour. Number 6 is the Owl Beasts in Winterspring. These Moonkin are really good to kill because of their vendor items plus their lucrative loot table. Just buying vendor items you can expect a good 10 gold plus per hour from this farm, as well as getting different items you can sell on the auction house. Basically, this farm consists mostly of vendor items, but there are a ton of vendor items, like Cracked Eggs vendor for 19 silver each, Wicked Claw for 5 silver each, and might be worth keeping for later since it's used in blacksmithing crafts. Also, you get mana and healing potions that you can auction, different recipes, and the plans for thorium legs can drop here as well, a pair of legs with plus 10 resistance to all magic types, which can be worth auctioning. One negative is that these owl beasts are part of a quest in Winterspring, so there might be some competition for mobs, but a positive is that since there are no big items dropping here, it might be a less popular gold farm, and if you're able to chain pull and have the spot to yourself, you can actually pull some decent gold per hour here. Number 7 is the Hippogriffs in the southern part of Feralas. These mobs don't really drop anything fancy, but you can easily net between 15 and 25 gold per hour just from vendor items in this farm. I would say it is pretty nice. It's also not a very popular farm because, again, there are no specific items you're looking for, and it's kinda in the middle of nowhere, as not many people go back to Feralas after they're done questing there. An added benefit of these hippogriffs is that they're right between the Yeti and Furbolg camps, so if you need any rune cloth or you just feel like you want to farm some different mobs, these are also great to farm. The exact location of the Furbolg and Yeti farms were highlighted in my cloth farming video, so I'm not going to go in detail about those in this video. These hippogriffs are between level 43 and 47, but I do recommend being as high level as possible, so you can kill them as fast as possible for more gold per hour and less downtime. Speaking of downtime, if you kill every hippogriff and you're forced to wait for respawns, you can once again take advantage of the Yeti and Furbolg camps while waiting for respawns. And number 8 is 3 different farms in Deadwind Pass. First off, we have the ogres. In general, these ogres drop roughly 5 silver each, plus a lot of vendor items, and they can also drop healing and mana potions. All in all, I would say they're worth roughly 15 silver each, and that's without counting world drops, greens, blues or epics. Just raw silver and vendor value. Also, in my experience, these ogres are pretty much always available and almost nobody farms them, simply because there are no huge items to get here. But that means that you can have the entire farm to yourself as long as people don't get too affected by this video. Your gold per hour will fluctuate depending on class and DPS, but as a hunter with pre-raid gear I was able to get 15 to 20 gold per hour in this farm, which I think is good enough. Secondly, we have the unliving residents down at Karasan, which are great for the same reasons as the ogres, but there are less condensed mobs down here, so if you kill too fast, you might have to wait for respawns, which is not a problem when it comes to the ogres because there are so many. The gold per hour from these unliving residents is roughly the same as the gold per hour from the ogres, and there's also no huge items to get from these either. Another mob that can be good to farm is the birds on the road in Deadwind Pass. I stumbled upon these while I was going to the ogres, they dazed and dismounted me, and I was forced to kill one of them, and I looted vendor items for close to 30 silver from one kill. After killing a few more, I found an average silver ratio of 15 silver per mob, which is pretty good and makes it just as good as the ogres and unliving residents. If you want to farm these, you might want to go along the western road in Deadwind Pass, as there's more of them on the west side than the east side. Number 9 is different beasts in Blasted Lands. For this farm, we're taking advantage of raiders being lazy, and we're farming items that raiders can turn in for consumables, which increases certain stats for a certain period of time, which many raiders will use for raids to enhance their DPS, heals or survivability. Basically, you kill beasts, and a lot of the items you get can be put on the auction house, and raiders will buy them. The main items you're looking for are Snickerfang Jowl, Giant Egg, Buzzard Wing, Basilisk Brain, Scorpic Pincer, Jet Black Feather, Blasted Boar Lung, and Vulture Gizzard. These can be turned in for various buffs. Outside of these items, you can also expect to get trash items worth between 5 and 10 gold per hour. It's a really steady gold farm outside of the raider materials as well. You can also find these gems called Imperfect Dranathist Fragments, which you can turn into this NPC in Blasted Lands to obtain a random green item, which will earn you even more gold. You can basically get lucky and get a two-handed item that vendors for 2 to 4 gold, which will substantially increase how much you make from this farm, so there's a tiny bit of RNG involved. Since all of the mobs you kill are beasts, having skinning will naturally increase your gold per hour, especially if you're a hunter or a warlock, and you can start sending your pet to the next target while you skin your current target. Or if you're a mage, you can AoE pull a ton of mobs, kill them all, and skin them all before doing your next pull. I would say this farm right here is a jack of all trades, because you can make 10 gold per hour steady from vendor items, while you also get a ton of items you can put on the auction house to make a lot more gold. Plus you get random for green items, and you can get the Dranathist Fragments for even more green items. If you get lucky on the stat roll on the green items, those might be worth auctioning as well, giving you the chance to obtain even more gold. Number 10. Fire Elementals in Ungor Crater. The main item you're looking for here is the Essence of Fire. However, Elemental Fire also sells very well on most servers, and will most likely be your most reliable gold maker from this farm. You can realistically expect getting roughly 1 Essence of Fire per hour, while you might get 10 or more Elemental Fires. You can also obtain the Heart of Fire, which sells for roughly 40 silver each, which helps add value to the farm itself. This farm, however, is quite popular, and you might have to evaluate for yourself whether this farm is worth it for you. This pretty much depends on your server popularity and the knowledge about this farm, how many people know about it, and etc. It's a really good gold farm if you can get it to yourself, and on PvP servers you should expect some world PvP going on here. And especially in Ungoro in general, there's always world PvP going on in that zone. Number 11 and the last farm for today is Tree Beasts in Fellwood. I didn't know what to call them, so I just went with Tree Beast, but the main item you're looking for here is the Living Essence. You'll get roughly 6 silver or 6 raw silver from each mob, along with some decent vendor items as well, and some food that you can use to regain health between pulls. But the main item you're looking for is the Living Essence, so you should definitely check whether Living Essence is selling for cheap or expensive on your server, and make up your mind of whether or not you want to farm for this material. If you do want to farm for Living Essence, this is one of the better farms out there, and it's also a farm that not too many people know about. But this spot might be popular for people questing in Fellwood because there is a quest associated with these mobs and this cave. However, people questing should be lower level, so if they're of the opposite faction you can just kill them to send a message and declare dominance over the spot. Alright, there we go, the part 2 of my Great Goldfarms in Classic WoW series. I would not expect a part 3 anytime soon, since I have covered a ton of gold farming locations now in these videos, and it will take some time for me to find new ones, if it's even possible. I will keep making gold making videos, however, and I do have a couple of big ones in mind, so make sure you subscribe if gold making is something you're into. This video was meant for level 50 plus people, while in my other video I covered a bit of everything from low level to high level. I did mention a couple of spots in this video that can technically be farmed at level 42 plus, but I still recommend level 50 plus so you kill the mobs fast enough for it to be worth it. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please take the time to slap a like on it, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. And with that being said, I thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.